welcome to the Aviation Coffee Talk, being hosted by Twiga Aero. It's the 18th of April. We're at home. It's really an informal session. We invited a couple of aviation professionals, our colleagues in the industry, at one point or another. And we want to discuss some of the key elements that we think are important to the industry. We want to be able to problem solve and debate. It should be a fun session. But ideally, we hope that the outcome will inspire those of you who are watching to proactively respond to the challenges that are facing the industry, especially safety. Safety is a big one. And hopefully with the interactions that we have with some of these people, a lot of them are seniors in the aviation industry, that you'll be inspired.
Retiree, 45 years of airline experience, being busy on about 250 having lived in 12 different countries, advising civil air departments, airport authorities, and I have been working with Lufthansa, looking over Lufthansa's ground management at various airports worldwide. When I was a ramp agent, 24 years old, an aircraft got the fireball 100 meters high, and I was running like hell. From that moment on, I always looked into one thing, that this should never happen again, that at least all precautions are being taken to prevent things like that.
Who has a PPL, you may even be required to finance your own CPL. Yeah. And only rely on established airlines to get an ATPL and a rating for that particular aircraft. So more and more, particularly low-cost carriers, are trying to hire only pilots that have a CPL, at least, financed by themselves. And there are now more and more training organizations in ASEAN, at least, and elsewhere, where the intake of students is at CPL level. They don't train them anymore for PPL or CPL. They have to be their own CPL. Bring your own CPL sort of thing, right. Yes? And then you are trained to ATPL level, and only then you're shipped off to the airline. So the airline expects, particularly low-cost carriers, expect an ATPL as the basis of recruitment of a pilot. Mm-hmm. That means those young people have to finance upwards of $50,000 or even $100,000 to get an ATPL first.
The license is quite expensive and it needs the backup of an airline. Yeah. So we were talking about the skill gap before, knowing the fleet requirement and the respective licensed personnel from the airline side, and then the desire of a lot of university graduates to become a pilot. And you have it, for example, in Australia, that once they have acquired a private pilot license, they don't have the finances to enter the training, which is simulator-based and needs the support of an airline, to continue for a commercial pilot license.
Roughly 30,000 commercial jet pilots were required by the year 2020, and that an equal number of maintenance engineers would also be required. With these stringent measures in place, it's already a very difficult task for them to fulfill the requirements of the industry. But can you imagine with the multiples that we were discussing before? In other words, 70 or 75 people per aircraft directly related to the airline. 1,000 aircraft being on firm order in the ASEAN countries alone. When you compare those multiples to what is required for ground operational staff, where you need 150 staff that are trained and qualified per aircraft, how are we going to cope with those training requirements, those technical requirements that the industry needs? If the aircraft are being built faster than they can be flown or faster than they can be serviced.
Everybody to understand the same thing. We really need to look at how we get to the front line. You know about it and I know about it, but we've got 50,000 people at Suvarnabhumi. How many of them know what they're doing when it comes to safety?